Hello and welcome back to our Modest Designs. Today we're going to be doing a review of Inventables' new CNC machine, the X-Carve. Inventables sent this over to me for use in my shop a couple of months ago, and now that I've built it and used it in a bunch of projects and I'm very familiar with how everything works, I'm ready to do a review on it. Let's get started. So first things first, this does not come as a built machine. It comes in a bunch of boxes that you choose when you order an X-Carve which parts you would like it to come with. I've chosen the larger model, which is 1000 by 1000 millimeters, but it's also available in 500 by 500, depending on what you plan on using it for. It gives you a choice of motors, drag chains, what extension rails you'd like, different spindles, different wiring configurations, limit switches. There's all sorts of different things that you can choose. And once you've configured the machine exactly how you'd like it to be and you place your order, then exactly those parts are sent to you and you assemble it with those pieces. If I had to estimate, this larger configuration probably has close to 200 parts, including just all the little nuts and bolts, which is quite a lot. It took, I think, 2 or 3 days for me to assemble. It wasn't necessarily a hard build, but it was tedious at points. The overall design of the machine is quite simple and elegant. There's separate NEMA 23 stepper motors to drive each axis, and 2 of them to drive the x-axis, since that's supported on both sides. Included with all the components to assemble the X-Carve, Inventables also gives you a toolkit, which includes almost all the tools that you need to assemble the machine. You could assemble it with just what they've given you, but if you also get an M5 tap, that will really help you to thread these extrusions in the rails, because those come unthreaded. When assembling the machine, it quickly becomes very apparent that all the parts used are very high quality and the tolerances are all quite tight. Everything fits together exactly how you would expect it to for a $1,500 machine. The one complaint that I do have about hardware is they use concentric nuts for some of the portions of the machine to get the sliders to fit correctly onto the rails, and those are pretty annoying if you've never used them before, like me, but after you finally do have them straight, it's really not that big a deal. Wiring up this machine is also pretty simple. You don't need to do any soldering. Everything uses wire terminals, and the instructions are very clear on where each cord goes. Alright, so now that we've reviewed the hardware, let's get into some software. Inventables developed their own in-house software to run this machine called Easel, which is, it's nice, it's cute, it's got a very nice UI, but for somebody like myself that's already very well versed in 3D CAD, it leaves a bit to be desired. Easel was really designed for the person that has no 3D CAD experience and just bought one of these machines and wants to get it up and running as fast as possible. And for that, it's fantastic. It will do simple things great if you have problems with the machine. Easel can show you how to fix them more often than not if it's a software problem, and even if it's a hardware problem, it will tell you, hey, you might need to tension this belt, and that's very useful. However, it's almost entirely two-dimensional. You can only cut flat planes, you can't do anything with a radius, which is really limiting what you can do with a machine this powerful. Luckily, it is pretty simple to run this with any other G-code sender. I just use Universal G-code sender because it's very simple, but you can also use Chili Pepper and just send it G-code that you've generated from any other CAD/CAM program to run the machine. What's great about Easel is it gives new users, or people who have never done anything like this before, a really easy, simple way to start learning how to CNC, but it doesn't limit them from doing more complex three-dimensional work by using other programs. As with any big mechanical machine, you're bound to experience problems at some point, especially getting going with a machine this complicated, but luckily, Inventables has a really good support for them. Chances are, any problem you have with the machine somebody else has already had, and you can look up that thread, find the answer, and there you go. So, the obvious question is, what can you do with this machine? Well, you can cut just about anything shy of hard metals or soft fabrics. The machine ships with a standard 300 watt spindle, which will allow you to cut anything from a soft foam up to aluminum, depending on what bit you're using. So let's look at a couple things that I've made with the machine. This is a very typical easel project. This was a Christmas present for my mother, and she wanted this inscribed into a piece of wood that she can hang above the kitchen. So all I had to do was boot up easel, put in the specifications for this wood, thickness, length, what type of wood it was, and then write in the letters. And easel did everything else, calibrated the machine. I pressed carve, and it carved it, and that was it. Very, very simple. Something a little bit more complex is this lightsaber stand that I made in CAD, Fusion 360, and then cammed it out and sent the G-code to the machine using the Universal G-code sender. This piece is significantly more complex, and if I remove the risers, as it was machined like this from a flat sheet, it has radiuses in several places, which easel cannot handle, but this machine can with different programs. So for the money, I think this machine is absolutely hands down worth it, especially given how large of a build area you get. With other machines in this same price point, and even 2, 3, 4 times as expensive as this machine, you don't get such a large build area as this machine gives you. So overall, I do really, really like the machine. It's a lot of fun to use. It can be a little frustrating depending on what it is you're asking it to do, but most of the time it gets the job done. So I've done a couple other projects with this, one big one that I linked in the video description below if you'd like to check that out. It's a silicone chessboard that I did for my final project of last semester, and I used the X-Carve to carve out some of the molds for it. If you'd like to see what some other people are doing with their X-Carves, I'll provide a link in the video description below so you can check out some other really cool projects. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.